Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We went to movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey,
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Tennis Podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about movies that shaped their childhood. I'm Sweetie with an IE.
And I'm Sweetie with a Y.
Well, hello there, children.
Ciao.
What is up? So proud of ourselves. We are doing another movie. We did not take like a 3-week gap.
Hey.
We pushed it. We did it. I had a crying baby, and I watched this movie while I was bouncing her in a chair, trying to get her to go to sleep. So, you know,
Nice.
sisters are doing it for themselves. My choice this week. And, you know, I put on Instagram, I wanted to do Mannequin. As I said last week, I just read the Andrew McCarthy memoir. He's in Mannequin. Had some good things to say about it, and I remembered it fondly as a movie that was like, always on TV, and I would be like, what the fuck is this weird movie? But unfortunately, we have been bit by the evil movie gods again that do not allow some movies to be streamable. I don't know what is up with this.
Laws, rights, I don't know.
What is confusing is that, and I think we found this a couple times, either another movie with the same name or the lame sequel nobody wants to watch is available to stream, and the original isn't, right? So apparently there's a Mannequin 2 with Christy Swanson that is available and ready to stream.
Deja vu. Did we try to watch Mannequin already and this same thing happened?
No, it was a
This is so
different movie.
familiar. What was
I think
the
it was a
movie
different
where this
movie.
happened?
I don't know.
And we were so jazzed about it. And it was
Every
like,
movie,
oh.
it sucks. So, and no, wasn't it Loverboy? This is what you're thinking.
No,
of.
because there's no sequel to Loverboy.
No, but there's another Loverboy that's like some like softcore porn or something that we
No.
found. Yeah, I swear to God.
No.
And anyway, so long story short, we did not do Mannequin tonight. I'm able to get it from the library. We will do it. I promise you that. But we decided that, or I decided, put a poll on Instagram. One of my favorite things to do. What do you guys want to watch? What do you guys want to watch? I was feeling either in the mood for Crocodile Dundee 2, which I want to mention that I watched the trailer, and yes, I'm going to watch that soon. Brought me back. Love it. Love that movie. Love the sequel. But the overwhelming favorite to do tonight was Saint
Elmo's
Fire.
St. Elmo's Fire. That's the song I made up about St. Elmo's Fire during the Footloose episode.
Right. Oh yeah, because we mentioned that because of the banger song that comes with this movie. We will talk about that banger jam. But what was I going to say? Lost my train of thought. St. Elmo's Fire. Oh, so like coincidentally, also it's another Rob Lowe movie, so we can just very not. Sorry, I'm
The
losing my words.
motherfucker's following me everywhere.
Yeah.
I read his memoir, which is, coincidental. Sweetie read Andrew McCarthy's memoir, and then one was in The Outsiders, and now we're like, let's do this. And you know who's in both of them? Emilio Estevez.
And Emilio
He's
Estevez,
in
right.
all of them.
Right.
He's the middle part in the Venn diagram, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had never seen this.
Yeah. Me neither. I had never seen it, and I was confused. I confused this movie a lot with what is the one where like Phoebe Cates wears the red bikini?
Say Anything?
No.
Yeah.
It's like a dream sequence in a pool. No. It's
Yeah.
like
Pretty sure it's Say
it's
Anything.
Ridgemont. Fast
Times at Ridgemont.
Yeah, I think it's
Fast Times at Ridgemont.
For some reason, I confused the two.
I
Nothing
confused
alike.
those two, not this one. This
Okay.
I'll tell you what my sweetie confusions were. It's strange to have two sweetie confusions about a movie that you've never seen before, but there we are. The first one was that this was a movie that John Hughes had something to do with. So I definitely thought this was in his canon. It's
Well, you
not.
do think that because there's so many people from
Yes.
the quote unquote Brat
the
Pack
Brat
in it.
Pack is all confusing. But I guess the Brat Pack was like not even the kids in the Breakfast Club. It was
Right.
like the specific kids from this movie because
Right.
someone wrote an article, a review
Yes.
about the movie and
It
called
was
them the Brat Pack.
Yeah, it was Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, the guy, journalist, spent like a night with them, and they were these
Right.
like privileged Hollywood
right.
stars, like getting into trouble and like drinking and stuff like that. So then they became the Brat Pack, and then it folded in like all these other stars.
All
so in
the other people.
Andrew McCarthy was so pissed because he was like really wasn't in the Brat Pack, but he got labeled as one, and it like kind of tainted his career a little bit because, you know, that's the kind of roles he got for a while.
Yeah. But yeah, not a John Hughes movie.
No.
And then the second misconception is that it is a movie about that takes place on a boat and there's like boat things in the sea. Like I've thought that most of my life.
Interesting.
Like I just couldn't get over the fact that this was just like a regular ass movie about regular ass crazy people. Like
I don't know if I
Really
really
shocking to me.
regular, but yes. I
Well,
thought it was
crazy.
a movie about them
Regular
being in
ass
high
crazy.
school. I didn't think they were in
Oh.
college, or they're not even in college. They're post-college.
no, it's all lesson. You should just watch the movie instead of making
just-
assumptions.
Exactly. We think we know everything we don't, you know? Lesson
No,
learned.
nothing.
So, St. Elmo's Fire from 1985, directed and written by Joel Schumacher. What have we done previously of his? Lost Boys. He passed away last year, so we did that movie in his honor, I believe.
Do you do the Batman movies?
He did. He did Batman and Robin. He also did A Time to Kill.
He didn't do Batman
Interesting.
Forever?
Yes, I think he did that one too. Sorry.
Okay.
So he did 2 Batman movies, A Time to Kill. Love that movie. And then kind of a smattering of kind of ones. You remember that one, like Falling Down with Michael Douglas, who's like a accountant or something and has like a mental breakdown? No. He's like kind of like a workplace shoot up movie, I want to say, which now is like kind of, but anyway, so Joel Schumacher, written and directed. Features a very glamorous cast of very famous people from this time period, and then many that continued on. We already talked about Rob Lowe and the fact that there were, you know, the start of the Brat Pack in here. So you have him, Emilio Estevez, Andrew McCarthy, as we said, Judd Nelson, is that that guy's name? Yeah. That's all the men, right? Yeah. And then Ali Sheedy of sort of Brat Pack fame, Demi Moore, Mayor Winningham, and Andy McDowell. So, yeah. So a cast of very glamorous 80s stars, if you will. What else was I going to say about this? It's a fucking crazy romp. I'm going to say that right now. I'd never seen it. And was I surprised how crazy it was? Yes. Because I read that this movie was like the college, like, or 80s version, or for younger kids, The Big Chill. Have you ever seen that movie or know about it?
No.
So
Also thought that was about a snowstorm or
Yeah,
something.
no,
See, it's like
so
confusing. You
it
know,
isn't.
titles, you got to be careful with titles. People
It's
are dumb.
about like college friends who get together after one of them dies. I think he commits suicide.
Classic
and-
storyline.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. And they all like come to this house in like South Carolina or something, and it's similar dynamic. Like they're always there's all this unrequited love. Someone's in love with somebody else. You know, they have that in that one particular. There's tons of discussion. It's just them having all these like smart combos. So not like this one at all. There's like zany shit that happens. Here's the twist in that one. Spoiler alert. Okay, so Kevin Kline is in it. Glenn Close, and then who the fuck is the other woman? I forget.
Why are you spoiling it?
I just want to tell you this is how wacky that movie is.
Well, now you're spoiling it for everyone.
You can't spoil a movie that's like 50 years old. I'm sorry. So one of the characters wants to get pregnant really, really bad, and she's like a lawyer and she doesn't have time to date or something like that. Glenn Close and Kevin Kline are married. At the end, Glenn Close is like, So this whole weekend, that woman who wanted to get pregnant had this idea to like seduce one of the single guys and she was ovulating, so she was going to get pregnant, right? And that ends up falling through, like, and she decides not to do it. So then Glenn Close is like, brilliant idea. You can have sex with my husband, and he's going to impregnate you. What the hell?
Crazy.
And it happens, and they have this weird, like, friendly sex. It's really awkward. Anyway. So that's that movie. That is not this movie. But this movie equally, like, what the fuck is going on? Because there's just, like, a lot of crazy shit in this movie. Am I wrong?
No. I mean, it's the craziest movie I've ever seen. And I've seen, like, so many crazy movies. But, like, literally nothing in this movie makes sense. And I don't know if I'm, like, missing... Like, is time progressing in this? Like, I feel like it's just, like, one day after another. And then, like, they'll be like, did you have sex yet? And it's like, wasn't it just yesterday you tried to have sex with me? Like, or was it, like, a year? Like, I'm really confused about the timeline. So because of that, I think, like, it's extra, or maybe it's the way it's edited. There's, like, so many things wrong. It's like a hot garbage mess. Like, it's
hot garbage fire.
Wow.
We're gonna have so much fun during the synopsis because this movie is, like,
and I'm not
all over the place.
And I'm not going to be exaggerating, like, making jokes. Like, the things that I'm going to say are, like, literally what people say. So
that's what makes it go so great. So
don't
apologies
worry
if this is your favorite movie. And, you know, kudos to you. No, this is a nostalgia podcast. So we clearly understand that, like, you watched this in 1985 and you're like, this movie's so cool. It totally explains, like, what happens when you leave college and you're still have 1 foot in college, but, like, 1 foot out the door because you're trying to become an adult. Like, I get that. But what the fuck is this movie is all I have to say. Down to that theme song, which we talked about during Footloose. Know what it is.
Like, I still
I'll
can't,
be your
like,
man in motion. Here's what I learned about that theme song.
Yeah, it's
actually
about a guy in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
I read that too.
If that does not say it all about this movie, that the theme song was written about a guy in a wheelchair and they decided to use it for this film. And something in IMDb said, the man in motion refers to Demi Moore's Jeep in this film. What?
Her Jeep wheels. I'm sure.
Oh, sure. Yes. Nice cover.
What a disconnect.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. So crazy. So I'm excited to talk about it. It's so 80s in the best way possible, as we always talk about. Demi Moore's character basically looks like a Barbie doll, like that has come to life.
She looks like my best friend Kim Kaplitz's mom, Lisa Kaplitz.
Yeah.
Like, that hairstyle.
My God, that hair. Fun fact: she had a real cocaine problem during this, as did her character. She was not doing method acting; it just happened.
She wasn't doing the drugs in the movie. She had been sober at the time she filmed it, though.
Yeah, but she had to get sober before she did the movie. I guess that was like a contingency thing that Joel Schumacher was like, "You better sober up." So cool. All right, are you ready?
I guess so. We'll see what happens.
It's time for the sweetie synopsis. Yeah,
sweeties.
Ooga booga booga. Ah.
I hate that. I hate that so much. Like, I just, like, it just seems out of character for them. They're like these, like,
they made it up, I guess. The actors did.
Well, yeah, the actors did. Did their characters? No. Because, like, again, disconnect. Like, Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. Georgetown College, 1985, I guess. We have the privilege to meet a group of friends who all have nicknames, surprisingly enough, which is, like, great. Good for them. We have Jules, who's this, like, rich, hot piece of ass who's just, like, wild and crazy and has no rules.
She's apparently an investment banker, though.
Oh, okay.
Who knows?
Yeah, I was wondering.
Okay, all these guys went to Georgetown, right? So you assume that they're, like, very smart, even though, like, one character, debatable how he fucking got into Georgetown. I have no idea. Cough,
smart and
Rob
probably
Lowe.
rich. Yeah.
Yes.
So yes, good point. So then we have Kirby or Kerbo as he's credited in the credits.
What?
Was that a typo or did they call him Kerbo?
I
thought
don't remember them calling
Curbs.
him Kirby.
Okay, it's so weird. Kirby is Emilio Estevez. He is a lawyer / waiter, mostly just a waiter at this like weird. So the opening scene, they're like in a hospital, and Emilio's like, I was like, why is he wearing an apron? And I was so confused.
And a bow tie.
And it was like, oh my God, it was the craziest thing. And so, yes, he's a waiter at this restaurant, supposed to be a lawyer. All of these people, by the way, are 22 years old and have just graduated from college. So they're in that awkward time period where you're like, all right, I got this degree. Let's do this. And then you're like, oh, like, okay, I guess it's not so easy for everybody. Some people in this group seem to have it pretty, pretty cushy. Let's
Have it
say
together.
that. All right, so back to the people. So we got Jules, Curbs, and then Leslie, played by Ali Sheedy, is an architect, I guess. They never really give her a lot of like details, but she's always she's like at that table drawing things, and then she's like, "We have to move my drawing table or my drafting table." She called it, or whatever.
She really wants to get her career started.
I mean, I've seen 3 men and a baby, so I know what an architect setup looks like. Thank you, Tom Selleck.
Thank you, Tom Selleck.
So she is in a relationship with Alec, or Al, played by Judd Nelson, who used to be a Democrat and now is a Republican / asshole. So they're together and they have this like weird relationship where you've been together, all through college, and then you're out in the real world and things suddenly are a little different. So that's their kind of like struggle. And then Kevin is Andrew McCarthy.
Okay, these nicknames are just like the 3 letters that make up the beginning of their
really
first name.
annoying that they all had to have a nickname. Like even Wendy, they'd be like, "When?" It's like so annoying. Anyways, okay, so Andrew McCarthy's character is a journalist, a writer. He seems to be the only one who has like a real sense of like how stupid they are. I got the feeling, anyways, that he was like the most together one, other than Wendy.
Well, but he's like mopey as fuck.
Hasn't been with anybody in like 2 years. People think he's gay. They're like, "What's your deal, man?" And he's just like very aloof and like, "I'm in love with somebody else, maybe. I don't know." And you're like, okay, I mean, is it Leslie? I guess it's Leslie. Like, we know, like, So that's Kev. And then we have Wendy. Poor Wendy. Mar Winningham. Wow. So this is like all of these 80 movies that we cover with like groups of friends. We've talked about this with like Shag and Mystic Pizza. Always has to have one sad dumpy friend who's like, you're such a good person. You have such a good heart, but you don't get a love story in this. I'm sorry.
Nobody likes you.
Nobody likes you and won't have sex with you because you're fat. And like, it's so stupid. I hate it so much. And I'm like, obviously we've come a long way from that, but it is just like shocking a little bit to see it so blatant in these movies.
So there's 4 guys. Wait, right?
I haven't gotten to Billy yet.
Okay. Well, okay. Sorry. Finish and then I'll say this.
Okay. So then last but not least, Wendy's deal is that she comes from a very rich family with like a greeting card empire. And her like plan in life has been determined by her father, who's like, you're going to get married to a guy. I'm going to give him a franchise and that's it. You have babies, done. She's like, Dad, I want to do something worthwhile. She's like Baby in Dirty Dancing, where she's like, she's not content with just like getting her father's money and like going through life. She's like, I want to do something. I want to make a difference. So she works at like a homeless shelter and does social work. And so her family's like, what is this working? I don't know what that means.
Have another new car.
Yeah. She's got all these greeting cards. Are you Hallmark? Like, they have like a whole store of just greeting cards, is what I gathered. And the name of the store is Card. What is it? It's not Card Nation. It's like cardiac arrest or something. It's like something it's like the dumbest pun I've ever heard. or like cardigans or something.
Oh,
and it's
God.
like, come on. Anyways, so, and she's like, apparently some relationship, quote unquote, with Billy, which is
Right.
like the main part of my confusion of this movie is this whole situation. So Billy is the artist of the group. He travels around town with his saxophone just slung casually over his back like a fucking over the shoulder like tote bag. He's just like brings it with him everywhere. He's like, hey guys, you want to go to bowling? Wait, I gotta bring my sax. Like, oh, I'm going to the doctor today. Better bring my sax in case I have time to blow a few
when
notes.
you want like a jazzy sax beat.
Oh my God. So he has like this long mullet, greasy mop, one earring, dangly ones.
What is it in the shape of? Did you see?
Like maybe a cross or a
cross,
sword.
maybe? Yeah.
Something like that. Something really like hardcore, even though he's basically a easy listening jazz saxophone.
Georgetown graduate, former frat boy, if you will.
He's in a band. He's such a bad boy. The opening scene is him getting arrested for drunk driving, and it's not a big deal to anybody. He, in the beginning, it's like everyone's like, Wendy, when are you going to get rid of Billy? Like, he's toxic, he's bad. And so I'm like, okay, that's nice. They're in a relationship. The fat girl can get somebody. But then it's like, no, they are not together. No. What is their relationship? What is this history they have and they keep alluding to? I don't know. We never really find out.
And that is like literally why are any of these people friends? Okay. Makes zero sense at all. Say, okay, they met in college. Sounds like it could have been possibly like a dorm situation where they're all in the same dorm, but they're so different. And like, why would Wendy like Billy? In any world, it like doesn't make any sense at all.
I don't know. Okay, new fan theory. This is the Breakfast Club, just like 10 years later. Like makes like they didn't have anything in common either, except that they were like there.
It doesn't make any sense, and like
it's so weird. They don't explain anything, and I don't know if this is knowing what we know now about how films work and things like The Outsiders. You can really change how a movie is based on the editing and like what you choose to include. So maybe there was like more nuggets of information in this that they cut out that would have been helpful.
Yeah, totally, maybe.
But most of it
I'm
is
not a fan of flashbacks. But I feel like this definitely could have used a couple.
That's what I was like. Were some of these scenes flashbacks? Like the sex scene in the lounge? Like what? When was that? Like her parents were upstairs having a cocktail and she was like slip into this. The cocktail lounge with me, like I just don't get it.
I thought and then I was beginning was like
a flashback
or like a flash forward, and then the whole movie was going to be a flashback
3 months earlier. Yeah.
I was waiting for that to go across the screen because I was like,
I'm like, it didn't seem like time existed. It was Halloween like at one point, and then wasn't it like New Year's, or was that The Hills? I was watching The Hills today. Everything's mixed up.
Remember the we'll talk about this, but the ski when he goes like up to the ski house.
Sorry, yes, thank you. I forgot to mention Kirby's side plot is that he's obsessed with Andie MacDowell's character, who's this girl he dated on one date and maybe half a date in college. She's a doctor now and very important, and he's like fucking infatuated, like head over heels, actually a stalker who you should like probably get a restraining order against.
Yeah.
And he bases his whole life around her to the point where you're like, what are you doing? When he's like throwing a party in that guy's apartment for her.
He decides,
and she's like,
he's a law student and he's like, I like this girl so much, I'm now going to be a med student because like I need to get close to her because she's a doctor.
But
he is like certifiably crazy. And this crush all started because she smiled at him at a fountain.
And everybody's like all worried about Demi Moore and like, ooh, Jules, I'm so worried about you. Like, how about Kirby? Let's check on Curbs. Dude is fucked in the head.
Yeah, it's really messed up.
It's crazy.
So, boils down to like there's a lot of people. It seems like everyone else is has a crush on somebody else, kind of a thing. No
or
one
is
will
just
tell
sleeping with somebody else,
how
or
much they
wants
love
to
that
sleep
person.
with someone else.
Right. and it's very messed up. So you go through, as Sweetie said, like parts of the year, who knows like what the time frame is, or like what season it is. There is a Halloween party, so that's like one kind of marker, but other than that, yeah. So they're just kind of like going through their everyday life, and you're just seeing like how like fucked up they are. So you come to learn that I'm not as good as these character names, but Al and Les don't have such a perfect relationship after all, because Al is a dick. And he is constantly cheating on her.
Okay, it escalates so quickly, but like, was that the first time he cheated on her?
No, he's like a serial cheater, but he's obsessed with getting married to her. At one point, he's like, oh, she's like, they're about to have sex, and she has to go put in her diaphragm, I'm assuming. And he's like, you don't need that. We're going to get married soon. And she's like, you don't have to carry the baby for 9 months. So I'm going to go put in this diaphragm. See you later. He's like obsessed with her dressing sexy, even though she looks like so cute in these like little pajamas that she wears. They're living together now, by the way. Like, well, it just after college. He is and she doesn't want to get married because she wants to like start her career first and get that all settled, and is kind of a little freaked out that, they've been together for this long, and she's never been with anybody else, and then they're going to get married. Like, that's a honest thing to be kind of freaked out about, especially for like college relationships, right?
Especially when you're 22 years old.
He just keeps pushing her. He like announces their wedding date when he hasn't even proposed yet, like at a party.
Classic.
The guy is like, and Judd Nelson is such a creepy character.
Some other asshole did that.
Coming to America, it reminded me of that. Daryl was like, hey, we're engaged.
Fucking Daryl.
But Judd Nelson is like such a slime bag. He just seems like one. Like,
he
anyway,
doesn't,
in real life.
until that scene where he's like,
that's true.
And that's why it caught me so off guard, because I was like, what? Because up until that point, you think they have this like pretty perfect relationship, and they're like so cute and like all these things, and like, he's a little bit pushy about marriage, but like she'll get there. And then here comes, she's like, oh, I'm going to get something in the back room, and he's like, yo, dude, like, so that like red night dress I just bought for her, the sales lady offered to model it, and then I had sex with her in the dressing room. And you're like, what? And like, is that the same exact one that you gave your girlfriend then after? Like, ew. Like, no one knew you were there buying it. You didn't have to bring it home. You already got the fantasy you wanted.
We already said that he was like head of like the Democratic Student Union or whatever at college, and then he decides to work for Republicans because like he'll make more money. Like, this is in DC, right? So he's all into like politics, and he wants to run for government. So he's like
a terrible
a
person.
traitor.
Yeah, but
terrible.
He's terrible
Person.
Scummy.
You find out Jules is sort of living beyond her means. She's like some weird side plot where her former stepmother died,
is that true?
And like her dad is supposed to pay for the funeral, but he's like with his second wife somewhere in some Caribbean island, and Jules now has to pay for it. I don't know. She's getting an advance on her salary, which who knows that's even a thing, that you can like get your paychecks ahead of time, I guess.
Maybe in the 80s.
She has a bit of a coke problem. There's this like insane scene where she's like in a hotel room with Arabs, does too much cocaine, and is convinced they're gonna gangbang her. What? So she calls Alex up on the phone and says, please come get me.
I thought
what
she was just
is going on?
I think she was just doing that to like get him to bring her to somewhere where they could have sex, because like she's a terrible person too. Clearly
she wants to have sex with all the guys,
and she's best friends with Leslie, and like to think that she's just so casually like, like it freaked me out. I was like, who are these assholes? Really only Leslie and Kevin are okay in my book.
No, they're all
until the end.
Despicable characters.
But that scene was the number one like LOL. Like I laughed out loud.
Oh
Arabs in the hotel room, they have their things on, like it was so, and he just like bursts in there, and they don't even like raise an eyebrow.
It
so like,
didn't make any sense.
What was the situation? Like, how did she get into this?
Right. Why was she there?
I didn't see any coke. Like, what? Yeah. I don't know. Like,
was that having to do with her job? I mean, literally nothing is explained.
Nothing's explained.
So bizarre.
And so her stepmother really died, and she really needs to throw a funeral or whatever. Okay. I thought that was like all a cover just for her drug problem. That's like the real reason she needed money was that. So, but I guess she really was dead. So
Right.
R.I.P.
So then you have the Andrew McCarthy character, Kevin, who is, like we said, mopey as fuck. Is just like, oh, like loves Woody Allen and wants to be this like very writer, the meaning of life. You know, he's very like deep, but he's obsessed with Les and like loves hanging out with them as a couple, but it's like awkward third wheel. And he likes talking to prostitutes and getting wisdom from them. You know, he's not a lot going on with him, but then eventually it does because him and Les, jumping ahead here, but end up having sex, and he does confess his love to her. I'm jumping ahead a bit. But okay, so we'll get to that soon. And then you have Rob Lowe character. Okay, Rob Lowe character, aka Billy. Billy, just so everyone knows, not sure how this happened, again, not explained, is married with a baby. Try that on for size.
This is the guy in the beginning who him and Wendy got in an accident because he was drunk driving and almost killed them. And then it's like, oh, you really need to like part ways with Billy. Like, what are you talking about? So they're not together because actually Billy has a wife and a child. Like, what? And he's a mess. So like, if you think like Jules is a mess, like wait until you meet Billy, who's like extra sloppy, extra drunk all the time. Plays the sax, like just like embarrassing.
And he's a cheater too, though.
Yes.
I mean, he's constantly.
So clearly, I mean, we don't know that he's married until like halfway through the movie,
Right.
but
That's why it's confusing.
then it's like, what? Because yeah, he's bad. He is bad. It's bad news.
Yeah. So stuff like starts to go awry. There's this Halloween night. Billy is playing sexy saxophone on stage with this band, like a total mess. And the whole gang's there, and they're like, "Yay, Halloween! Like we're so cool. We like used to go to this bar as college people, but now we're like graduates, and we're amazing. And look at Billy play the saxophone. Is like what yellow ripped up tank top with bats on
Bats. Cool bats. So cool.
Then Billy's wife walks in with another guy. They sit down at a table and start making out. Billy, halfway through, like, blowing his saxophone, stops and is like, "Hey, get your hands off my wife." Fight ensues. Gets brought outside. They, like, the guys, like, beat each other up. The wife's yelling at him, like, "You don't love me," blah, blah, blah. They ended this huge to-do. But then make up pretty quick. You know, seems to be one of those, like, you know, hothead couples. They just like love fighting and get like all like drama-rama, right? So I guess they make up, but you know, not for long.
Billy, yeah, and Billy also has like no money and like is behind on rent and stuff like that. Yeah, doesn't have jobs,
many
like
jobs.
Kind of yeah. So that's everyone's like main conflict. So now I guess we can talk about like, so what happens to them throughout the course, like, you know, of the second half of the movie, right? So with Jules, she just like has a crazy spiral. And well, actually, we'll start with Leslie and Alec. So they obviously get into this big confrontation when she's like, "I know you're having an affair," and he's like, "Oh, did Kevin fucking tell you?" And then he like beats up Kevin, and she's like, "No, you idiot! Like I just guessed. Guess I was right." And then he is like, "I want you out of the apartment by 5 p.m. And it's like, what?
Okay,
Like,
why does that made me so mad because he's the one who's cheating.
I know.
Why was he yelling at her like she was the cheater?
It's so weird. Gaslighting.
Yeah,
Like,
so
really
that
weird.
guy is such a trash bag. I can't stand him.
Unless, again, that scene was like actually after her and Kevin had sex or something. And then that's why. But I don't know. So, yeah. So she
So
goes,
dream come true. Kevin
Right.
is like, "You can stay at my
you
apartment."
can stay with me. And then he confesses his love to her. She finds like a box of all these pictures of her, which is like
Oh my god!
very creepy.
run for
Where
the
did those come
hills.
from? I don't get it. And then they you know have sex a bunch of times and everything's great. Unfortunately, Alec comes strolling in to Kevin's apartment the next morning and is like, "Hey dude, like let's talk. This is shit is crazy, huh?" And she decides to come out and like show that like, yes, I slept with your best friend and you can suck my dick. And like, he's not happy about it at all. It's pretty terrible, blah, blah, blah. We all knew that was going to happen. But again, it's this weird thing where like Kevin's super obsessed with Leslie, and she's like, what does she say? She's like, sex isn't
love, Kevin.
Yeah, sex isn't love, Kevin.
He turns to he turns stage 5 clinger. I mean, that's what happens.
I mean, she's right, Kevin. Like, you haven't been together this whole time. You've been together with this idea of what you think you will be like together and that kind of thing.
Right.
Like, give it some time. Give it some time, bro.
Right.
He's like, move in. Like, no.
I also thought he was like a good character until he was like, so I don't want to rush you, but I think we should move in together.
Yeah.
Like after like sleeping with each other once, like my jaw dropped. I was like, what is wrong with you? Like,
so,
he had a dream scenario in his mind. He thought it happened once they had sex, but she's right. Like, sex is not love.
She's
like, obviously she cares for him, but no.
Yeah. So then I guess so now I will switch to talk about Jules, because this ties into that, right? So Jules has like a meltdown, drug binge or whatever, and is like locks Leslie out of the apartment because Leslie moved in with her after this whole weirdness happened.
Well, no, she locked herself in the apartment because remember the like predators or whatever come and take away all of her stuff in the apartment.
That's why nothing was in the apartment.
Because turns out she got fired.
Oh, right.
And
we find
has
out,
been fake leaving and going to work every day, but really she has not.
Right. Okay. Yes. Important detail. So that's sent her into this spiral, and so she won't open the door, and so Leslie calls,
and she's inside gonna kill herself because the windows are open, and
we don't know.
Has a t-shirt on.
They didn't know that. They didn't say that. They were just like, we need to get in there. So
it was dramatic.
She calls the boys, and like the boys come over and like try to break in to help her. So she calls Alec, and then he comes with Kirby, and Kirby's like, oh, I'll go get Billy. He's right down the street at the gas station.
Now
and,
Billy works at the gas station because he's lost like all of his 10 other jobs.
Right. And then like 5 seconds later, they're like back in a truck with Billy. I'm like, what the? Okay. So anyways, the guys managed to get in the apartment. She's, very high. She obviously has a drug problem. She doesn't have any money. We need to figure this out. So Billy, all of a sudden, whipped out of his ass comes this like metaphor for life about fucking St. Elmo's fire, which the dictionary defines as a meteorological like phenomena. Like, again, he was somehow smart enough to get into Georgetown, but maybe just on a music scholarship. But this scene, I'm like, okay, maybe there is something in there, because who has this kind of knowledge? Who?
Right. And I want to point out that like the scene before this with Jules and him, she gives him a ride home after this party where like everything kind of went to shit with Jules and Alec, and he basically sexually assaults her, and she's like, I just really needed a friend. And he's just like such a creep that night, and she's like, you broke my heart. I just needed a friend tonight, and you like basically just wanted to get in my pants. And she's like, you break everyone's hearts, and then like she storms away. But then he becomes this like counselor to her,
this like nice person. I'm like, hey, remember when you like refused to let her drive away because you put the keys in your dick? What? So weird. That was the craziest scene. So then like that whole thing kind of happens, and then Leslie and Alec kind of have this like do they kind of make up? I kind of like looked away for a second, and all of a sudden things seemed okay.
I mean, she ends up with nobody at the end,
and then she decides, listen, and then but they're waiting there, like she has to make a choice, and so I wasn't clear about like when she told Alec that he had a shot. Like I don't know. So anyways, they're like both standing there like, oh, I hope she picks me.
Right.
And she's like, I pick nobody.
I pick
and
being an architect.
I pick myself.
Yeah.
And so, but then they're like awkwardly still friends. Yeah. And you're like, okay, that's cool. Wendy finally loses her virginity to Billy. So thank you, Billy. Okay. They tried to do this again, like I said earlier, in her parents' like cocktail lounge. And he like finds her like girder and is like, oh, what's this? She's like, get away from me. And like, yes, no sensitivity, Billy.
Wait, what's a girder?
Or girder?
Girdle?
Girdle.
Girdle?
Girdle.
Oh,
Yeah,
because
you're
she's worried
right.
about her weight and like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
She was self-conscious about like all these like layers and like things she had like strapped herself down in. And so, but yeah,
It was
she
like a
gives it up.
going away present for him. That's how he like phrased it though, because
For
Billy's
him?
going. Yeah, that's how he phrased it, because Billy's going to try his luck being a saxophone player. Was that where he was
in
going?
New York City.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I guess. But why is it a gift for him? Shouldn't
That's
it
what
be
he
like a
said.
gift for her?
No, it was like some
I
going
get
away
to
present.
take your virginity.
Oh,
like
this-
what?
I know it was like her
I
dream
don't.
come true,
It's
but
so weird.
Ugh.
And like again, she's. I guess the dream's over. I don't know. Like it's. I don't get it.
okay.
So
Please
that's
get
that.
to the Kirby plot, because it's definitely
Okay,
my
so
favorite.
Kirby, again, like we said, has a total mental breakdown and finds out that she's skiing.
Okay, wait, hold on. Just rewind for a second. He gets a job as an assistant
Right.
to like a Mr. Kim, who is the Korean ambassador or something like that. So because he figures out that she's really interested in money, she hints to something about how she decided to become a doctor because she wanted to help people, but has learned since then that it's really all about money. So
Who's
that
not
clicks
interested
in
in
his
money?
head, like, oh, okay, like I need to be wealthy and like have this
Oh,
status
okay.
for her to be able to date me.
Okay.
So he works for this guy and then is able to use his car and like drives up to her when she's like walking to work and is like, hey, like look at me in my car and I have a chauffeur, I have this fancy job now, and like I'm holding a party at this guy's house, like you have to come. So she's like, okay, yeah, I'll try to make it. Like again, like that doesn't mean yes, I am coming, Kirby, but that's what his little brain thinks.
So yeah, he has this like crazy party, and I mean, who was the chauffeur again? Who was
I
that
don't
woman?
know. That
Just, like,
woman.
some random woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he pulls off all these crazy things. Yeah, he shows up at her apartment. He's like banging on the door at like 3 a.m. because like he can't handle it. And
But she didn't come to the party.
she didn't come to the party. He's like, don't you know I threw a party for you? I'm like, no, she didn't fucking know because you're a fucking psychopath. And so her roommate's like, she's skiing up north or whatever. So he's like, great. So he gets in this like little convertible, like
It's
wheel drive.
Wendy's like second car that her dad gave her because the first car
that's what it was.
Billy crashed when drunk driving. So it's car number 2.
At the beginning. Okay. Oh my God. So yeah. So he takes that. It's like a convertible with like the top up to this like snowy,
Like where is that? If you live in
blizzard
DC, where is the
area.
ski mountain?
Good question. Was he like in Vermont? Like
yeah,
I don't
that's what
know.
I'm like, did he drive to Vermont?
Really confusing. And so she's there with this like dude, and she's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "I'm obsessed with you." And then they have like a weird conversation about it. I don't understand what happens.
She's like clearly dating this guy. I think he's like, is he a doctor? Like, obviously, dude, he's like an older guy. Super nice, by the way.
He ain't a waiter.
Yeah, super nice. I'm going to say he's my favorite character in the entire film. He is so cool. Yes. Because he's like, this guy is clearly like, Kirby's like off of his rocker. They like literally just had sex. They have like no clothes on. They put on bathrobes and answer the door. And this psychopath is out there being like, where's my girlfriend who isn't my girlfriend I'm just obsessed with? They're like, man, are you okay? Like Kirby's like goes back to his car. He's like, you can't sleep out here. It's freezing. Like we'll get you a blanket. He's being like so nice to him. They get him into the house and like put him by the fire. She gives him pajamas. And like then everyone goes to bed and she's like, we'll talk in the morning. I mean, the guy is like out of his mind. Oh yeah, because he really can't leave because it's snowing and his car can't handle it, right? The next morning he wakes up. The sweet doctor is like moving his car for him. Asks if he wants a picture.
Please, I would love to remember this weird and awkward experience
of them. Like I don't know what that doctor guy thought, but he's like super nice. And then the doctor guy goes into the house. I forget why. It's to get the camera maybe or something.
Yes, to
and
get
he
the
like
Polaroid.
swoops Andy McDowell into this like Romeo and Juliet like kiss, and she's like suddenly swept off her feet because she did say something about hey, like, Kirby, you're a really nice guy. Like, I'm sure, like, I'm going to, like, really regret not having gone out on, like, another date with you or something like that. And he, like, sweeps her into this romantic kiss. She's, like, stunned. And, like, I think you're supposed to think, like, oh, like, maybe I should, like, be in love with him. I don't know. And then he drives away, like, in his convertible, like, with, like, the song, like, pumping. That might be the theme song. I forget.
And the Polaroid.
And the
she's
Polaroid, which is
the
really
Polaroid's
awkward
for her
Polaroid.
or for her. But like the way that he shot, like that Polaroid was not the same picture. That
No, it was
the
not at
sweep.
all.
It was like totally different angle and lighting. It's like
Exactly what I noticed.
Oh my god!
I was like, what is this portrait
so I'm
shot?
still unclear. Like, what is Kirby gonna do? What does he do next? I don't know. I hope he makes it. I'm not sure about old Kirby.
I'm so worried about that character.
Yeah, and like nobody. I'm worried that nobody notices. Like, he's just like this funny, like ha ha ha. But like, really, he's the most unwell.
Yeah,
like he's concerned.
Really a nutter.
But yeah, so I mean, at the end, Billy's the only one that leaves, and then the rest of the group is kind of like, so should we do like brunch? And it's kind of awkward, and like their heart's not really in it. You can kind of sense that they're starting to like move apart, maybe. And they decide to go to like a different restaurant than fucking their college bar.
Yep. So symbolic. Got to leave this behind.
Gotta leave this shit behind. Yeah, and then that's it. And then the weird like live credits of like the movie's still playing.
Yeah,
the
that's always
credits.
weird. I know.
I'm like, what's happening? Who are these people? I thought like the Arabs were gonna like get out of the car, and I was like, yes, that'll be great. But it was just like some random ass people. So nuts.
So weird.
But wow, what a weird movie. Literally didn't know what was happening for most of it. Was probably shocked by like 75% of where the storylines went. I just like never saw it coming.
Oh yeah.
Like the absurdity of like, hello, I'm in a hotel room with Arabs and they're making me do coke. Like, what? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It was so
just
weird.
So
and just like
weird.
Casual. Oh my God. And, like this whole movie was just like a casual romp for them. Like casual drunk driving arrest. Casual, I'm going to drown my friend in the toilet at a public bar because he's being a dick. Like, what are you doing? Casual cheating. Could like, just like so much cheating. And it's all just so like, you know, like whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, yuppies, you know, like I mean, still not with them. Not
it's one of my favorite genres. But like looking back, obviously we watched these movies through the lens of 2021, and it's just like, you know, privilege is cologne privilege. You're just like, okay, let's sprinkle some more on these guys. Like they don't have enough. You know, they all go to Georgetown, as we said, and these are their problems. These are like their big issues, you know, and it is funny to look back and be like, okay, there's other problems in this world. Like,
and I mean, there's a lot of, but that being said, I can understand like the themes and the concepts of this movie. I find very enticing. Like just like with that drama of like, oh, I'm engaged to this person, but I'm in love secretly with this person. Like I love that shit.
Yeah.
So like normally I would love this shit, but it was just so weird and like disconnected that it didn't land as well as I wanted it to.
I think there's too much unrequited love for me. You can't have every character be like in love with people who don't love them. It just seemed like that was like everyone.
Boring.
And then you had Jules like trying to get everyone to like be in love with her. Yeah, that was just a little too much for me. And then to the point, like I said, every character sucked. I mean, they all were. Not that every character needs to be likable, but I think you need to have like at least one, maybe two people.
But why does Leslie suck though?
Because I mean, was the right move to sleep with Kev when she knows like how obsessed he was with her? I mean, was she just needy because after that she needed someone like to really like her like that because she realized like Alec really didn't?
I mean, it made sense. Like maybe she did have feelings for him and she just was lonely and needed something, so she went for it, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit was like payback and like, sure, that's normal. to have.
I
those
know,
kinds of
but
feelings.
not a good
I think
move.
she's the least.
Yeah.
Her and Wendy maybe are the least ridiculous
Right.
of them. Like Wendy has a good heart, and like she's obviously the most sane of the group, but she's in love with
Yeah.
Billy, which is just like, I mean, everybody has those embarrassing crushes where you're like, why am I in love with this crazy person?
Yeah,
like, it's
yeah.
for no
I
reason.
I guess it could happen,
you just have
but
to like get over it.
Wendy
But-
girl, like, get some new friends. Also, everyone drinks like straight up liquor in this movie, and it made my stomach hurt. Like the amount of straight vodka they were just like drinking in cups was really mind blowing to me. Everyone smokes, which also is just, you know, I know this is 1985, but like, whoa. Every second they have like a cigarette in their hand. Pretty wild. As I said, Jules looks like a real life Barbie. You have Demi Moore, who has, you know, dark hair like ours with this horrible, like semi, you know, when you have people with dark hair dye their hair blonde and it's not quite blonde.
It's like red. I thought it was like a strawberry.
Was it red?
blonde almost.
And then you have Ali Sheedy also with like a terrible hair color.
And like her and Wendy looked very similar sometimes, that I was like, I kept confusing their characters, and I kept being like, oh yeah, Judd Nelson, her job, he doesn't want her to be a soup kitchen person. Oh wait, no, like she's an architect. Like I kept getting like confused about that, because they had similar haircut situations going on.
Oh, terrible.
And it just terrible look. Terrible. But did you love her backwards like pearl necklaces?
That was nice.
I was kind of interested in that.
I enjoyed the sex scene when she kept them on.
Yeah, totally. Maybe that's
Apparently in that sex scene, that shower door broke by accident.
I read that.
And they
her
just kept
laugh
filming.
was real. It was
Yeah.
really her.
Yeah,
It was
which
genuine.
did. And he talks about making that sex scene and how hard it was, and you know him, the director, like yelling at them, like need more passion, like all this stuff. And so Andrew McCarthy was so new when he did this movie. It was kind of his first big movie, and basically the only famous people in this at the time were Mare Winningham. She had done a bunch of TV movies. Rob Lowe and Ali Sheedy. They had all were kind of stars in their own right, but then Joel Schumacher had to fight to have everyone else in this movie because they were kind of unknowns at this point. So that included Andrew McCarthy, like I said, and he was, from the memoir, like a NYU, went to NYU for film school, got some like small jobs here and there, and then had this one big break with this movie with Jacqueline Bisset and Rob Lowe. He's like Rob Lowe's friend and ends up like sleeping with his mom. I forget what it's called. And then he got this one and then kind of catapulted to fame with Pretty in Pink. You know, that was his big one and stuff like that. But I think he had not great things to say about Rob Lowe, and now I'm forgetting what they were.
Oh.
Yeah.
Rob said nice things about him. They were friends.
Yeah, I forget, but it didn't seem like it from Andrew McCarthy's perspective. He was kind of like a depressing dude, though. Kind of similar to his character, very
Son.
deep, and it's weird, like knowing that he starred in like Mannequin and Weekend at Bernie's, but I think he wanted to be a little bit more of a more dramatic actor, and he kept getting into those parts. Which I got to be honest, Weekend at Bernie's is my favorite role. It's funny as hell.
He had a couple really funny lines and moments in this too.
When he was doing the bongos to Respect, he
Yeah.
talked about that scene and how that was like kind of crazy to film, and he just like went for it, and it was his idea to like bring out the bongos, and it was like he's such a good idea. He was in
strength.
Yeah. He contributed a lot to his films, ideas and such, of his own.
That's right,
thinking.
everybody. Sweetie is now an Andrew McCarthy expert.
No. Well, I picked it up, and I think I thought it was, we played that game, guys. Andrew McCarthy or
Anthony
No.
Michael Hall.
no,
Michael
remember?
C. Hall. No, that's
No.
Dexter.
No, they like look similar.
Yeah,
Is it Emilio
isn't
Estevez? No.
No, I thought it
Who
was.
do we say?
I'm pretty sure it's the guy I'm saying right now.
No, they like look similar.
I don't know. One of our fans will tell us. Write in. Let us know. Remind us.
I forget. But there's someone who looks like Andrew McCarthy who were like, is it this person or this person? Maybe it's Emilio Estevez. I don't know. Anyway, where's this going?
I don't know. You've been on like a Andrew McCarthy love fest for like
Right.
10 minutes.
Because I read the memoir.
I know. But yeah, did we wait? We stopped the synopsis, right? I don't even remember. It's like time doesn't exist when you're talking about this movie. Yeah, I mean it's super 80s this movie though. We can't like say that enough. Like Jules really brings most of the 80s. She has like a great crimped hair situation.
I loved her
There's a lot of-
gemstone earrings.
Yeah,
She had those like
she's
fake
got great
gemstone
accessories.
earrings. I know.
Her whole apartment is just like pink, like Pepto-Bismol, like
Huge
pink.
poster or painting of Billy Idol, I think that was.
It said so in
also
the trivia.
the one earring.
Yep. So, I mean, she was rad. And then everyone else is kind of just like a little dowdy, basically. And then Billy's obviously the other like super 80s one. Do you think that remember the character Billy from Stranger Things with like the mullet and he's like total bad boy? Do you think he was like based in part like on this character? I bet
Maybe.
he was. Because he reminded me so much of him in this.
Yeah.
Just like so crazy. But like, God damn it, Rob Lowe is just like a
Yeah.
beautiful man.
He is
and
so
I
beautiful.
don't
His-
know.
His eyes
What
just
to
like
do.
look into my soul. I mean, they're
yeah.
so beautiful. It's
How did that happen?
disgusting. I don't
That's
know. Like,
crazy.
are his parents really good looking? Does he have
No.
siblings? Are they good looking? Is he just like the hot
no,
one?
they're not. I mean, I'm
They're
sure
regular?
they're fine, but they're regular.
Wow.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what happened. It's like he's a god, like a demigod. He
Yeah.
came down.
I did
and-
enjoy his
who are
performance
you?
in this.
It
You know,
was
going
weird.
from soda pop to this, I just feel like he was only like 19 years old still, like really young, maybe 20. And yeah, he
I
just,
think he's still learning the craft. I feel like he's not very good at like switching up like emotions or something like, in a natural way. Like he like even like the fight scene, like the saxophone, like right before that, he's like, "Hey everybody, let's party!" And beep jeep, hey, get away from my what? Like it was just like so weird, and like with the St. Elmo's fire speech was just like so awkward and like comes out of left field. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know about Rob. I feel like he found his stride when he was no longer being cast as just like the pretty person.
boy.
Although I
Yeah.
guess he like wasn't just the pretty person. He's supposed to have substance in this, but I don't know. Like he found his zone is kind of like the dick who knows he's super attractive and can use that to his advantage when he needs to. Like I feel like that's his strength.
you mean Benjamin?
Benjamin from Wayne's World, yes, but also like a little bit the character in Parks and Rec too, right? Where he's like
Yeah.
very
Well,
like
he's
he
great in
knows
that.
he's good looking, but he is nice, but I don't know.
He's great in that. He was like okay in West Wing. He was not my favorite character. Like I think he kind of was just like after a while, and then he leaves the show, right? But it's kind of similar thing, though. I'm kind of forgetting now what his role is. Was he speechwriter? Yeah, right. I think he was a speechwriter. Anyway, and then I forgot he was in Parks and Rec. And what other 80s
Tommy
movies was
Boy.
he in?
Well, that one with Andrew McCarthy, which is forget what that's called. One with like Ralph Macchio? No. Michael J. Fox? I don't know.
I don't know.
I forget now. But you know, Tommy Boy, also a great movie.
Right.
Got to put that on the list. Yeah, Rob Lowe, everybody. Rob Lowe. I wish I remembered more of his stories from his memoir about this movie, because I kind of like was mostly focused on the outsiders.
Right.
So like now I'm kind of like forgetting what he said about this. I think he said that like they got drunk a lot and partied. Obviously, something about like the Exorcist stairs because they were filming in Georgetown.
Right. I
And
want to
then
say I have been to Georgetown. My friend
Yeah,
went
you
there,
have.
and I visited him one weekend. Pretty cool. I just wanted to say that. We did not go to the bar that this was based off of, the Tombs. I guess that's like the big Georgetown bar. Unless we did, and I don't remember. I don't know. I remember we bought... I was not 21 yet, but my friend Brendan had a fake ID, and we went to the store, and I bought a jug of Carlo Rossi red wine You remember those like jugs of wine?
Yes.
And I drank that the whole weekend. That's all I remember.
That's so crazy. What a time.
Oh, yeah.
God. Awful. All right. Anything else?
No, that's it. Glad we finally saw this, though. You know, we're missing like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Haven't seen that. Haven't seen this. Haven't seen quite a bit of kind of real famous 80s movies. So this is good. We're kind of knocking these out. Again, apologies if you're like favorite movie in the whole wide world. If it is, you might want to rewatch. I mean, no one could not say that this movie's not a hot mess. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who you are if you don't think it is. Because it is.
Agreed. I'm sorry. All right. Well, yep. Come find us, yell at us if you want, or agree with us at the Sweetie Club on Instagram. Or no, sorry. Oh, fuck. See, I did the thing again where I said it like a little differently, and then I fucked it up. You can find us on Twitter at the Sweetie Club or on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you, as always, for listening. Bye.
Bye.
I'm going
so
with Billy.
many rape artists. Billy
Billy
is the rape artist.
He tried to rape her. Yeah.
If there wasn't that scene in the Jeep, I wouldn't have said no.
Right.
But
right.
Yep.
He's
Too
got
bad,
it, Billy. Bye.
Sorry. Bye.